So this video would deal with how we plan for our kids with special education in their future. Our Fat Fire goal is $5 million US. So how does special education affect our family? Only one of our kids is diagnosed. Uh, they have 13 different diagnoses, meaning 13 different sub-diagnoses as well as primary diagnosis that they have many. And this has been an ongoing journey as we discover more and more as they are reevaluated, as we learn, adjust, and discover things. And this will deal with the financial aspect of raising a child with on special education and special needs. So the special education portion has multiple moving parts and also changes by diagnosis. So I will preface in saying this is special education and not institutionalized, which has a different cost associated with it. So in general, for special education, there is always the assessment. What exactly is the issue? Medical attention. If the special education has medical component to it, and accommodations. So, what needs to change in order to help with your child, the financial implications of it, and since this is a fire related video, how do we plan for the future? So, a little bit about us. We are two working parents, three kids, ages 4 through 8, currently living in a high cost of living area. So, the assessment, which is where people usually start their journey. So, there is a primary assessment. You can go via insurance on that. We chose not to, just from time constraint. If we would have gone via insurance, it's a few months worth of progress versus going private, which is pretty immediate. So we chose that route. The reason for that is the primary assessment snowballs the rest of the process. So without it, the insurance will accommodate things. You can't have accommodations in the school environment, etc. And a primary diagnosis triggers multiple sub-diagnoses, and each one of them requires their own um, specialty and testing. So for us, that was again an additional 1,200 specifically for language, but we've have done a few of these as we learned what can be done via insurance, what can't. But the original one we started outside of insurance for the same scheduling issues, and ongoing assessment are needed on a yearly basis. They are required by the insurance to continue providing insurance services, and some of them are covered by insurance, some of them are not. So the 200 you see here are sort of are deductibles for the insurances, but for some of the assessments, they are completely private, which is the 1500. The reason why is there are certain treatments that are not covered by insurance that we feel strongly that they will help our child, and therefore we chose to do them. It is an additional cost. There's a different section on how we're thinking of budgeting for these types of expenses going forward. So, medical. So, based on your diagnosis, some ailments um, can be medicated and some can't. Like I mentioned, we have multiple diagnoses, and some of them require interventions, some of them require medications, and some of them just require accommodations because um, they won't be, it's not fixable. So medication does get very expensive very quickly as you try different medications, different strengths, etc. The 400 you see here is our copay. It is insurance covered for the medication we eventually went on, but it has been a very long journey. We have paid out of pocket for some medication for brand names, etc., that have different clinical showing, but eventually, luckily for us, it is covered by insurance. But interventions by specialists um, do get expensive very quickly just because it's in a medical treatment that is carried out on a ongoing basis, weekly in our case, but depending on your special need child it might be at a higher frequency. And ongoing assessment, again, this is the insurance mandates that to see that the treatment does have a clinical positive effect. Luckily for us, our insurance has not yet pushed back on that, but with the political climate, is a reality. We are thinking about how to tackle that going forward if that's the case. So not everything is covered by insurance, unfortunately. Some medications are not. So I use the term medication here loosely. There are sort of off-the-shelf sort of things that do work to some effect. Um, they help with a lot of things. Some interventions are not covered by insurance and require us to pay. Additionally, the reason why they're not covered by insurance, they're too new and the FDA has not cleared them. It takes a few good years for the FDA to do things, um, but hopefully that won't be the case for you. And ongoing assessment for treatments that are not covered by new insurance, it's up to us and it needs to be again done on a yearly basis. But this is not insurance mandate. This is for us to see if the intervention is working, but also if we need to switch the direction the intervention is heading. So, like I mentioned, some things can be treated by medication, some things can't. Some things can be handled by interventions, some can't. And some things are just accommodations, things that need to change. If it's the light bulb that's used, if it's bed sheets, if it's a type of food, etc. I won't go into too much details, but I would say a lot of trial and error, a lot of changes, but also um, some supplies for school. Because what we see that's succeeding at home, we want to duplicate in the school environment when possible. So up until now, the school has been cooperating um, with everything we supply, but it is up to us to supply and educate. So, for example, we brought one of our specialists to the school in order to teach them certain things that work. Insurance does not cover that, for example, but it needs to happen for our child to be successful. And travel, we have made some travel accommodations, um, slower travel, less excitements, things that we will do on a daily basis that we chose to split into multiple days. We used to do that when the kids were smaller anyway, but the reality is going forward, no matter the age, we cannot treat all of them as their chronological age. So as you saw, it gets expensive very quickly. Luckily, there are some um, opportunities to reduce costs. So these are mostly forward-facing, meaning um, it's not something we get back. It's more like going forward, how can we pay for these sorts of things at a more reasonable capacity? So an ABLE account, if you are not aware of it, it's a disability-based account that is excluded from capital gains tax. There are certain limitations on it. It is a very powerful tool going forward, but since it's just you don't pay the capital gains tax, it takes a while until an account has capital gains that you can utilize. So we're looking at this as a more longer term solution. The child does have a 529, which in college is unknown at this point if it's a reality or not for them. So for now, we are saving for them in the 529 as as a normal child, or not normal, as a child that will go to college. But there is the ability to roll over from a 529 into an ABLE account. And I would say ABLE account can be used for anything in life. So transportation, accommodations, basically everything you saw so far that we spend on a child can be taken from their ABLE account once it has enough capital in it. Lawyer fees, unfortunately, with special education trusts, it does require a lot of planning. So we're still in the discovery phase on that. But it is going to be a substantial amount going forward, depending on who will run the special education trust and how we'll proceed on that. And UTMA in general, it's something we used to have for the child. We're slowly now in the process of moving those funds into the ABLE account. The reason for that is there's no tax advantages to UTMA at the moment, um, unless the rules change going forward. We have to remove funds from there in order for the child to be eligible for some federal or state funded plan. So I mentioned state plans. So state, I'm referring to the healthcare, Medicaid, Medicare, also SSI, Social Security, disability income. So both um, plans are an option, um, depending on how they'll be when they turn 18. Our financial situation exclude them for participating in these plans, but once they turn 18, they will be those plans will be available to them. Requires paperwork and lawyers, things of that nature. Obviously, assuming these plans will still be around when they turn 18, but we're just planning at this point, no actions yet. And college, there are savings plans in place already. Um, we don't know if that's going to be the reality. It might be a trade school or it might be none of those things. And the important thing is financial independence. So, how do we make sure their financial independence is set, assuming they can't earn any income based on their situation? So now, normal fire says, save for ongoing expenses. Should we treat our child's dependency on us as an ongoing um, burden, not burden, ongoing finance requirements, or should we just save a lump sum for them and have them apply the 4% rule? So our thoughts on this is right now we're targeting a lump sum, having the ability to purchase a home for them, set them up with an estate that can use the fair percent rule on them. This is assuming they won't have additional income based on their ability to work. And there are the state plans for Medicaid, Medicare, and SSI as a backup plan. But that distinction will need to happen when they turn 18, and we will see what's in their future. For those without special needs kids, the path is probably more clear than for us. Each year, you see the child grow differently, and in some cases regress. We've had some good years and some bad years, and it's very hard to plan for all eventualities. So right now, we're just taking a pause from thinking about it, and we will reconvene when they are 18, and we will see, can they go to college? Are they able to hold a job? Should they go to college or hold a job? Right? Safety is a concern here, and luckily we're in a financial position where it's not 100% needed to earn a living, with some accommodations on our end in order to support that. The US is a big place and there's lots of lifestyles available. So um, we'll just keep an eye on and wait and adjust our number based on expected expenses until they turn 18.